Maya stood in front of the big glass doors of Lincoln Middle School. She took a deep breath and looked at her reflection. Her long, dark hair was braided with colorful ribbons that her grandmother had sent from India. She wore a bright blue dress with small golden flowers on it. It was her favorite dress, but now she wondered if it was too different. "You can do this," Maya whispered to herself. "It's just another new school." But deep down, Maya was tired. This was her third school in 2 years. Every time her mother got a new job, they had to move. Every time they moved, Maya had to start over. She had to make new friends, learn new rules, and prove herself all over again. Maya pushed open the heavy doors and walked inside. The hallway was full of students talking and laughing. Their voices echoed off the walls. Maya looked around and noticed something right away. Most of the students looked the same. They had similar clothes, similar hair, and similar faces. Maya felt like a bright flower in a field of grass. She walked to the main office with her backpack heavy on her shoulders. The secretary gave her a schedule and a map of the school. "Room 201 for first period English," the woman said without looking up. "Don't be late." Maya studied the map as she walked through the crowded hallway. Students looked at her as she passed. Some stared at her dress. Others pointed at her braided hair. Maya heard whispers behind her. "Look at her hair," one girl said. "Where did she come from?" another student asked. "She looks so weird," someone else added. Maya's cheeks turned red. She walked faster, trying to find room 201. When she finally found it, she stopped outside the door. Through the small window, she could see students sitting at their desks. They all looked comfortable and happy. Maya felt like an outsider looking in. She knocked on the door and entered. All 25 students turned to look at her. The room became silent. Maya felt like she was on stage with a bright spotlight on her. "You must be the new student," said the teacher. She was a tall woman with gray hair and cold eyes. "I'm Mrs. Patterson. You're late." "I'm sorry," Maya said softly. "I got lost trying to find the room." Mrs. Patterson looked Maya up and down. Her eyes stopped at Maya's colorful dress and braided hair. "Well, find a seat. We don't have time to waste." Maya looked around the classroom. There was only one empty desk in the back corner. She walked toward it while everyone watched. Her footsteps seemed loud on the quiet floor. As she sat down, she heard more whispers. "She talks funny," one boy said. "Look at those weird braids," a girl added. Maya had lived in 3 different countries because of her father's work before he died. She spoke English well, but sometimes her words had a small accent. At her old schools, teachers said her accent was interesting and beautiful. Here, it seemed to make her stand out in a bad way. Mrs. Patterson started teaching about grammar. Maya knew all the answers, but when she raised her hand, the teacher looked right past her. Maya tried again and again, but Mrs. Patterson never called on her. It was like Maya was invisible. During the lesson, Maya heard more whispers around her. Students kept turning around to stare at her. Some were curious, but others seemed unfriendly. Maya felt smaller and smaller in her seat. By the end of the class, Maya's excitement about the new school was gone. She had hoped Lincoln Middle School would be different. She had hoped to make friends and feel welcome. Instead, she felt more alone than ever. The bell rang, and students rushed out of the classroom. Maya gathered her books slowly. She looked at her reflection in the window and wondered if she should ask her mom to buy her different clothes. Maybe if she looked more like everyone else, she would fit in better. As Maya walked to her next class, she made a decision. She would try to blend in. She would make herself smaller and quieter. Maybe then, the other students would accept her. But Maya didn't know that trying to hide who she was would only make things harder. And she had no idea that her biggest challenge was just beginning. 2 weeks had passed since Maya's first day at Lincoln Middle School. Things were not getting better. In fact, they were getting much worse. Every morning, Maya stood in front of her bedroom mirror and tried to make herself look more normal. She stopped wearing her colorful dresses and chose plain clothes instead. She tried to braid her hair in simple styles, but nothing seemed to work. In Mrs. Patterson's English class, Maya knew all the right answers. When they studied poetry, Maya raised her hand to share ideas. When they talked about different countries, Maya had real stories to tell, but Mrs. Patterson acted like Maya was not there. "Can anyone tell me about this poem?" Mrs. Patterson asked the class. Maya's hand shot up. She had read this poem before and loved it. But Mrs. Patterson looked right past her. "Yes, Jennifer," the teacher said, calling on a blonde girl in the front row. Jennifer gave a simple answer that was not very good. Maya kept her hand up, wanting to add more ideas. Again, Mrs. Patterson ignored her. "Very good, Jennifer," Mrs. Patterson said. "Anyone else?" 3 more students answered. All of them were white kids who sat in the front rows. Maya's arm got tired from holding it up. Finally, she put her hand down and looked at her desk. This happened every single day. Maya began to feel invisible in her own classroom. Lunchtime was even worse. Maya sat alone at a small table in the corner of the cafeteria. She brought food from home that her mother made with love. Today it was rice with curry and vegetables. The food smelled wonderful and tasted delicious. But when Maya opened her lunchbox, 3 girls from her class walked by her table. "You, what is that smell?" said a girl named Brittany. "It's that weird new girl's lunch," said another girl. "It looks gross." "My mom says food like that isn't normal," added the third girl. "Why can't she just bring a sandwich like everyone else?" The girls laughed as they walked away. Maya looked down at her food. Suddenly, it didn't taste good anymore. She closed her lunchbox and didn't eat for the rest of the day. These comments happened more and more often. Students made faces when they saw Maya's food. They whispered about her accent when she talked. They pointed at her clothes and hair when they thought she wasn't looking. Maya tried to ignore them, but the words hurt. She started eating lunch in the bathroom so no one could see her food. She spoke less and less in class, even when she knew the answers. The worst day came during 3rd week of school. Maya wore a simple white shirt and jeans, just like many other students, but she kept one small thing that made her feel good. She wore a thin gold bracelet that her grandmother had given her before she died. During English class, Mrs. Patterson was teaching about American culture. Maya raised her hand to share something about different cultures working together. This time, Mrs. Patterson actually looked at her. "Maya," the teacher said in a cold voice, "before you speak, I need to say something." The whole class turned to look at Maya. Her heart started beating fast. "I've noticed that you're still having trouble fitting in here," Mrs. Patterson continued. "Maybe you should try harder to be more like the other students. Your clothes, your food, the way you speak. It's all very different. This is America, and American students have American ways." Maya felt her face get hot. 25 pairs of eyes stared at her. Some students nodded like they agreed with the teacher. Others looked uncomfortable but said nothing. "Maybe you could dress more normally," Mrs. Patterson added, "and bring regular lunch, and try to speak without that accent. It would help you make friends." Maya wanted to disappear. She wanted to run out of the room and never come back. Instead, she just nodded and whispered, "Yes, Mom." For the rest of class, Maya stared at her hands. She twisted her grandmother's bracelet around her wrist and tried not to cry. That evening, Maya sat on her bed with tears in her eyes. When her mother came home from work, Maya ran to her. "Mom," Maya said, hugging her tight, "can we move again? Can I go to a different school?" Her mother looked surprised and worried. "What's wrong, sweetheart? What happened today?" Maya told her mother everything. About Mrs. Patterson's words, about the comments from other students, about feeling alone and different and unwanted. As Maya spoke, she saw her mother's face change. Her mother's eyes became serious and a little angry. "No, Maya," her mother said firmly. "We are not running away this time. Tomorrow, I'm going to call your school." Dr. Sarah Chen sat on Maya's bed and held her daughter close. Maya's tears had stopped, but her mother could feel her small body still shaking. Dr. Chen's heart was breaking as she listened to everything that had happened at school. "Tell me again about what Mrs. Patterson said to you," Dr. Chen said gently. "I want to make sure I understand everything." Maya repeated the teacher's words about fitting in and being more American. She told her mother about being ignored in class and about the students making fun of her food. With each detail, Dr. Chen's face became more serious. Dr. Chen was not just any mother. She was a successful lawyer who had worked on many important cases. She knew about laws that protected people from unfair treatment. She also knew exactly what discrimination looked like because she had faced it herself. When Dr. Chen was Maya's age, she had come to America with her own parents. Back then, some people were not kind to families from other countries. Teachers had told her to try harder to fit in too. Other students had made fun of her accent and her food. But Dr. Chen's parents had taught her to be proud of who she was. "Maya, look at me," Dr. Chen said, lifting her daughter's chin. "What happened to you at school is not okay. It's not your fault, and you don't need to change who you are." "But Mom, maybe Mrs. Patterson is right," Maya said quietly. "Maybe I am too different. Maybe I should try to be more normal." Dr. Chen felt angry, but she kept her voice calm. "Maya, being different is not wrong. Your heritage is beautiful. Your accent is lovely. Your grandmother's food recipes are special. These things make you who you are, and they are wonderful." Dr. Chen stood up and walked to her home office. She came back with a yellow legal pad and a pen. "Now I want you to tell me everything again. But this time, I'm going to write it all down." For the next hour, Maya told her mother every detail she could remember. Dr. Chen wrote down dates, times, and exactly what people had said. She asked questions like a lawyer building a case. "When Mrs. Patterson ignored you in class, who else saw it happen?" Dr. Chen asked. "Everyone," Maya answered. "The whole class was there." "And when she told you to fit in better, what day was that?" "Last Tuesday, during third period English class." Dr. Chen filled 3 pages with notes. She wrote down the names of students who had made mean comments. She wrote down every time Mrs. Patterson had treated Maya unfairly. She even wrote down the exact words the teacher had used. When they finished, Dr. Chen put down her pen and looked at her daughter. "Maya, what happened to you has a name. It's called discrimination. That means treating someone unfairly because of where they come from or how they look or speak." "Is discrimination against the law?" Maya asked. "In schools, yes it is," Dr. Chen answered. "Teachers are supposed to treat all students equally. They're supposed to make every child feel safe and welcome. Mrs. Patterson didn't do that." Dr. Chen looked at her watch. It was 8:30 at night, too late to call the school. But she was already planning what she would do in the morning. "Maya, tomorrow I'm going to call your principal," Dr. Chen said. "I'm going to request a meeting to discuss what has been happening to you." Maya looked worried. "Will I get in trouble? Will Mrs. Patterson be mad at me?" "No, sweetheart. You will not get in trouble. You did nothing wrong. And I won't let anyone be mad at you for telling the truth." That night, Dr. Chen stayed up late preparing for her phone call. She organized all her notes. She looked up the school's policies about treating students fairly. She even researched the principal's background to understand what kind of person he was. Dr. Chen had learned long ago that when you want to create change, you need to be prepared. You need facts, not just feelings. You need to speak clearly and professionally. And you need to know exactly what you want to happen. The next morning, Dr. Chen dropped Maya off at school as usual. "Remember," she told her daughter, "hold your head up high. You belong in that school just as much as anyone else." After Maya went inside, Dr. Chen sat in her car and took out her phone. She dialed the school's main number and waited for someone to answer. "Lincoln Middle School, this is Mrs. Johnson," said a friendly voice. "Good morning," Dr. Chen said in her professional lawyer voice. "This is Dr. Sarah Chen, Maya Chen's mother. I need to schedule an urgent meeting with Principal Williams to discuss some serious concerns about my daughter's treatment at this school." There was a pause on the other end of the line. "May I ask what this is regarding?" Mrs. Johnson asked. "Discrimination," Dr. Chen said clearly. "I have documented multiple incidents of unfair treatment that need to be addressed immediately." Dr. Chen's fight for her daughter had officially begun. While Maya's mother was preparing to fight for her at home, Maya was facing another difficult day at school. She walked through the hallways with her head down, trying to avoid eye contact with other students. Her first 3 classes were the same as always. Teachers barely noticed her. Students whispered when she walked by. Maya felt like she was becoming smaller and smaller each day. But 4th period was different. 4th period was art class with Mr. Rodriguez. Maya had always loved to draw. When she was little, her father would sit with her and teach her to sketch flowers and birds. After he died, drawing became Maya's way of feeling close to him. But since starting at Lincoln Middle School, Maya had stopped drawing. She felt too sad to create anything beautiful. When Maya walked into the art room, she noticed it was different from her other classrooms. The walls were covered with colorful paintings and drawings. Students' artwork hung everywhere. The room felt warm and welcoming. Mr. Rodriguez was a young teacher with kind eyes and a big smile. He wore paint-stained clothes and had pencils stuck behind his ears. When he saw Maya, he walked over to her desk. "I'm Mr. Rodriguez," he said with a friendly voice. "You must be Maya. I've heard you're new here." Maya nodded but didn't say much. She expected him to treat her like the other teachers did. "I have a good feeling about you," Mr. Rodriguez said. "I think you're going to create some amazing art in this class." For the first time in weeks, Maya smiled a little. The art assignment that day was to draw something that made them happy. Maya stared at her blank paper for a long time. She couldn't think of anything that made her happy anymore. Mr. Rodriguez noticed Maya's empty paper. He sat down next to her. "Sometimes when we're feeling sad, it's hard to remember happy things," he said quietly. "But happiness is still there, hidden inside us. Maybe you could draw a memory of a time when you felt really happy." Maya thought about her grandmother's garden in India. She remembered the bright flowers and the way the sunlight looked through the green leaves. Slowly, she began to draw. As Maya drew, something magical happened. Her pencil moved across the paper like it had its own life. She drew flowers that looked real enough to smell. She drew sunshine that seemed to glow on the white paper. Mr. Rodriguez watched Maya work. "That's beautiful," he said. "You have real talent." When class ended, Maya didn't want to leave. For the first time since starting school, she had felt good about something. "Maya," Mr. Rodriguez said as she packed up her supplies, "would you like to eat lunch in the art room today? I have some students who come here during lunch. They're really nice kids." Maya thought about eating alone in the bathroom again. She thought about the mean comments about her food. "Okay," she said quietly. At lunchtime, Maya walked back to the art room. Inside, she found 3 other students sitting at a table together. They looked up when she entered. "Everyone, this is Maya," Mr. Rodriguez said. "Maya, meet James, Sophia, and Alex." James was a boy with thick glasses who looked very smart. Sophia had dark hair and paint under her fingernails. Alex was quiet and shy, like Maya. "Hi, Maya," Sophia said with a warm smile. "Mr. Rodriguez told us you are an amazing artist." Maya sat down and opened her lunchbox. She waited for the comments about her food, but they never came. "That looks delicious," James said, looking at Maya's rice and curry. "My mom always makes the same boring sandwiches." "Can you tell us what's in it?" Alex asked. "It smells really good." For the first time in weeks, Maya felt comfortable talking about her food. She explained each ingredient and told them about her mother's cooking. "My family came from Mexico," Sophia said. "People used to make fun of my lunch too. But Mr. Rodriguez taught us that different foods make life more interesting. My mom is from Korea, James added. I used to be embarrassed about eating kimchi at school. But now, I don't care what people think. Maya looked around the table. These three students understood exactly how she felt. They had faced the same problems she was facing. Do you want to come back tomorrow? Alex asked. We meet here every day during lunch. Maya nodded. For the first time since starting at Lincoln Middle School, she felt like she might have found some real friends. That afternoon, Maya walked home with a lighter heart. She couldn't wait to tell her mother about Mr. Rodriguez and her new friends. Maybe, just maybe, things were starting to get better. The next morning, Dr. Chen dressed in her best business suit. She put on her pearl earrings and carried her leather briefcase. When Dr. Chen walked into Lincoln Middle School, she looked like the successful lawyer she was. The secretary, Mrs. Johnson, recognized her voice from the phone call. Dr. Chen, Principal Williams is waiting for you in his office. Principal Williams was a tall man with gray hair and a kind face. He had been the principal at Lincoln Middle School for 10 years. He truly cared about his students and wanted every child to feel safe and happy at school. Dr. Chen, please sit down, Principal Williams said, pointing to a chair across from his desk. I understand you have some concerns about Maya's experience here. Dr. Chen opened her briefcase and took out her yellow legal pad. She had practiced what she would say, and she was ready. Principal Williams, I appreciate you meeting with me today, Dr. Chen began. I'm here because my daughter is facing discrimination in your school, and I need to know what you're going to do about it. Principal Williams looked surprised. Discrimination is a serious accusation, Dr. Chen. Can you tell me exactly what has happened? Dr. Chen read from her notes. She told him about Mrs. Patterson ignoring Maya in class. She described the comments about Maya needing to fit in better and act more American. She explained how other students made fun of Maya's food and appearance. With each detail, Principal Williams looked more concerned. He took notes of his own and asked specific questions. You're telling me that Mrs. Patterson said these things in front of the entire class? He asked. Yes, on Tuesday, October 15th, during third period English, Dr. Chen answered. My daughter was humiliated in front of 25 students. Principal Williams put down his pen and looked directly at Dr. Chen. Dr. Chen, if what you're telling me is true, then Mrs. Patterson has violated several of our school policies. We have clear rules about treating all students with respect and dignity. I'm not finished, Dr. Chen continued. Maya has stopped eating lunch in the cafeteria because students make cruel comments about her food. She has stopped participating in class because she's afraid of being ignored or criticized. She's asked me 3 times if we can move so she can change schools. Dr. Chen's voice became stronger. Principal Williams, my daughter is a bright, talented, wonderful child. She speaks 3 languages. She has lived in different countries and has experiences that could teach other students about the world. Instead of celebrating her differences, this school is trying to erase them. Principal Williams was quiet for a moment. He thought about his own vision for Lincoln Middle School. He wanted it to be a place where every child could learn and grow and feel proud of who they were. Dr. Chen, I want you to know that what you've described is absolutely not acceptable at this school, he said firmly. We pride ourselves on being a welcoming, inclusive environment for all students. Then why is this happening to my daughter? Dr. Chen asked. I don't know, Principal Williams admitted, but I'm going to find out, and I'm going to fix it. Principal Williams pulled out a calendar and looked at his schedule. I'm going to start a formal investigation today. I'll interview Mrs. Patterson, and I'll also speak with other students in Maya's class to get a complete picture of what's been happening. What about Maya's safety in the meantime? Dr. Chen asked. She still has to go to Mrs. Patterson's class every day. I'll make sure Maya knows she can come to me if she has any problems, Principal Williams said. I'll also have a conversation with Mrs. Patterson today about appropriate classroom behavior. Dr. Chen felt relieved but still cautious. Principal Williams, I need to be clear about something. I'm not going away until this is resolved. My daughter deserves to attend school without facing discrimination. I completely agree, Principal Williams said. Dr. Chen, I have a daughter too. If someone treated her the way Maya has been treated, I would be just as upset as you are. Principal Williams stood up and walked around his desk. I give you my word that we will get to the bottom of this. Lincoln Middle School should be a place where every child feels valued and respected. What happens if your investigation shows that discrimination has occurred? Dr. Chen asked. Then there will be consequences, Principal Williams said seriously. Teachers who discriminate against students face disciplinary action, including possible termination. We also have procedures to make sure it never happens again. Dr. Chen gathered her papers and put them back in her briefcase. I'll be checking with Maya every day about her experiences, and I'll expect regular updates from you about your investigation. You'll have them, Principal Williams promised. Dr. Chen, thank you for bringing this to my attention. No parent should have to fight for their child to be treated fairly at school. As Dr. Chen left the school, she felt hopeful for the first time in weeks. Principal Williams seemed like a good man who truly wanted to help, but Dr. Chen was also realistic. She knew that real change would take time and effort. That evening, Dr. Chen told Maya about her meeting with the principal. Maya listened carefully to every word. What happens now, Mom? Maya asked. Now we wait and see if Principal Williams keeps his promises, Dr. Chen said. But Maya, no matter what happens, you should never be ashamed of who you are. A week after Dr. Chen's meeting with Principal Williams, something exciting was happening in Mr. Rodriguez's art class. He stood in front of the room with a big smile on his face. Class, I have a special announcement, Mr. Rodriguez said. We're going to start a new project that I think you'll all love. It's called Our Stories Matter. The students looked interested. Maya sat up straighter in her chair. For this project, each of you will create a display about your heritage, your family traditions, and what makes you unique, Mr. Rodriguez explained. You can use photos, artwork, writing, music, food recipes, or anything else that tells your story. A student named Tyler raised his hand. What if our family is just regular American? What if we don't have any special heritage? Mr. Rodriguez smiled. Tyler, every family has a story. Maybe your great-grandfather was a farmer, or your grandmother was a teacher, or your family has lived in this town for many generations. Every story is important and interesting. Maya felt excited for the first time in weeks. She had so many stories to tell about her family's travels, her father's work, her grandmother's cooking, and her mother's journey to become a lawyer. The displays will be shown all around the school, Mr. Rodriguez continued. Every student and teacher will get to see them. This is your chance to share who you really are with everyone. After class, Maya stayed behind to talk to Mr. Rodriguez. I have lots of stories to tell, she said quietly. But what if people make fun of them? Mr. Rodriguez sat down next to Maya. Maya, your stories are beautiful. They're part of what makes you special. And I think when people see your display, they'll learn something wonderful about you. That evening, Maya talked to her mother about the project. Dr. Chen was thrilled. This is perfect, Maya, her mother said. Let's gather photos and memories and create something amazing together. For the next 2 weeks, Maya worked harder on her project than she had ever worked on anything. She and her mother looked through old photo albums and found pictures from their travels. Maya found photos of her father's work in different countries. She included pictures of her grandmother's garden in India and her mother's graduation from law school. Maya wrote stories about each photo in beautiful handwriting. She described the taste of her grandmother's food and the sound of rain on their roof in Thailand. She wrote about learning to speak different languages and about her father teaching her to draw flowers. Maya also included some of her own artwork. She drew pictures of her family's apartment in different countries. She sketched her grandmother's hands making bread. She painted a sunset she remembered from when they lived in Singapore. James, Sophia, and Alex were working on their projects too. During lunch in the art room, they shared ideas and helped each other. "Look at this photo of my family's restaurant," Sophia said, showing a picture of a small Mexican restaurant. "My parents worked so hard to save money to open it." James showed them a comic strip he had drawn about having dyslexia. "I wanted people to understand that learning differently doesn't mean learning less," he explained. Alex had written beautiful poems about being shy and finding friendship through art. His words were so honest and touching that Maya almost cried when he read them. "Your projects are all so amazing," Maya said. "I hope other students will really look at them and understand." On the day the displays went up around the school, Maya was nervous and excited. Her display was colorful and full of photos and stories. At the top, she had written Maya's journey around the world in both English and Hindi. As students walked through the hallways between classes, something wonderful started to happen. They stopped to read the displays. They asked questions. They learned things about their classmates they had never known before. At Maya's display, a group of students gathered. They looked at her photos and read her stories. "Wow, Maya lived in Thailand," said a girl named Jessica. "I've always wanted to go there." "Look at this picture of her dad," said another student. "He was an engineer who built bridges." "That's so cool." "And her grandmother's garden is beautiful," added Tyler. "I wish I could taste that food she wrote about." Maya watched from across the hallway. Students were actually interested in her stories. They weren't making fun of her differences. They were curious and impressed. During lunch, instead of eating in the art room, Maya decided to try sitting in the cafeteria again. She chose a table near her display where she could watch people reading it. Jessica and two other girls walked over to her table. "Maya, we read your display," Jessica said. "It's really amazing. Can we ask you some questions about the places you've lived?" Maya's heart started beating fast, but this time it was from excitement, not fear. "Sure," Maya said with a smile. "What do you want to know?" For the next 30 minutes, Maya told stories about her travels. She described the floating markets in Thailand and the beautiful temples in India. She talked about her father's work and her mother's career. The girls listened with wide eyes. They asked lots of questions and seemed genuinely interested in everything Maya said. "You're so lucky," Jessica said. "You've had such incredible experiences." "I never thought about it that way," Maya replied. "I always felt different and weird." "Different isn't weird," said another girl. "Different is interesting." When Maya got home that day, she could hardly contain her excitement. "Mom, you won't believe what happened today," she said, rushing to tell her mother everything. Dr. Chen listened with tears of joy in her eyes. "I'm so proud of you, Maya. You shared your beautiful stories with the world, and look what happened." That night, Maya fell asleep with a smile on her face. For the first time since starting at Lincoln Middle School, she felt proud of who she was. While Maya was discovering new friendships through her art project, Principal Williams was busy conducting his investigation. He had spent the past 2 weeks carefully looking into everything Dr. Chen had told him. Principal Williams started by reviewing the school's policies on diversity and inclusion. Lincoln Middle School had clear rules about treating all students fairly, no matter where they came from or what they looked like. Teachers were required to create welcoming classrooms for every child. Next, Principal Williams quietly interviewed several students from Maya's English class. He called them to his office one by one and asked them about their experiences with Mrs. Patterson. "Did you ever notice Mrs. Patterson treating students differently?" he asked each student. Most of the students were nervous at first. They didn't want to get their teacher in trouble. But when Principal Williams assured them that telling the truth was important, several students began to share their observations. "Mrs. Patterson does ignore Maya a lot," said Jennifer, the blonde girl who sat in the front row. "Even when Maya raises her hand first, Mrs. Patterson calls on other people." Another student, Marcus, told Principal Williams about the day Mrs. Patterson had told Maya to fit in better. "It made me feel uncomfortable," Marcus said. Maya didn't do anything wrong, but Mrs. Patterson embarrassed her in front of everyone. A girl named Samantha shared something even more troubling. Mrs. Patterson sometimes makes comments about students who seem different, she said. Last year, she told Carlos that he should speak English at home instead of Spanish. Principal Williams wrote down everything the students told him. A clear pattern was emerging. Mrs. Patterson had a history of treating students from different backgrounds unfairly. Principal Williams also reviewed Mrs. Patterson's training records. He discovered that she had missed several required workshops on cultural sensitivity and inclusive teaching. She had also received complaints from other parents in the past, but those complaints had never been properly investigated. On Friday afternoon, Principal Williams asked Mrs. Patterson to come to his office for a meeting. She sat down across from his desk, looking annoyed. Mrs. Patterson, I need to discuss some concerns that have been brought to my attention. Principal Williams began. Is this about the Chen girl? Mrs. Patterson asked impatiently. I don't know what her mother told you, but I treat all my students the same. Principal Williams opened a folder containing his investigation notes. Mrs. Patterson, I spent 2 weeks looking into this situation. I've interviewed multiple students from your class, and I've reviewed your training records. Mrs. Patterson's face became defensive. Those students don't understand what it's like to manage a classroom. Sometimes you have to maintain order. Maintaining order doesn't include telling a student to change who they are, Principal Williams said firmly. Multiple students witnessed you telling Maya to fit in better and speak without an accent. That type of comment is completely inappropriate. I was just trying to help her, Mrs. Patterson argued. If she wants to succeed in America, she needs to learn American ways. Principal Williams felt his patience running out. Mrs. Patterson, Maya is American. She was born in this country. But even if she wasn't, it would still be your job to respect and value her heritage. Principal Williams pulled out the school's policy handbook. You signed an agreement to follow these policies when you were hired. Page 14 clearly states that teachers must create inclusive environments that celebrate diversity. Mrs. Patterson looked at the handbook but didn't say anything. Furthermore, Principal Williams continued, I've discovered that you've missed mandatory diversity training for the past 3 years. You've also received complaints from other parents about similar issues, which were never properly addressed. Principal Williams closed the folder and looked directly at Mrs. Patterson. Based on my investigation, I'm taking several actions. First, you will attend 40 hours of cultural sensitivity training during the next month. This training is mandatory and must be completed during your own time. Mrs. Patterson's eyes widened. 40 hours. That's not fair. Second, Principal Williams continued, you will write a formal apology letter to Maya and her family. This letter must acknowledge your inappropriate behavior and commit to treating Maya with respect going forward. And third, you are being placed on probation for the remainder of this school year. Any further complaints about discriminatory behavior will result in termination. Mrs. Patterson was quiet for a long moment. Finally, she spoke in a smaller voice. I didn't realize my words were so hurtful. I thought I was helping. Intent doesn't excuse impact, Principal Williams said. Your words made a bright, talented student feel ashamed of who she is. That's the opposite of what teachers should do. Principal Williams handed Mrs. Patterson some pamphlets about cultural sensitivity. I want you to start reading these tonight. Your first training session is scheduled for this Saturday. After Mrs. Patterson left his office, Principal Williams called Dr. Chen to update her on the investigation. Dr. Chen, I wanted to let you know that my investigation is complete, he said. Mrs. Patterson's behavior was indeed inappropriate and violated several school policies. Dr. Chen listened as Principal Williams explained the consequences he had imposed. I appreciate the steps you're taking, Dr. Chen said, but how do I know this won't happen again? Mrs. Patterson will be closely monitored for the rest of the year, Principal Williams assured her. I'll also be personally checking in with Maya regularly to make sure she feels comfortable and respected in all her classes. That evening, Dr. Chen shared the news with Maya. Maya felt relieved that someone had listened to her story and taken action. "Does this mean Mrs. Patterson won't be mean to me anymore?" Maya asked. "It means she understands that her behavior was wrong," Dr. Chen replied. "And if it happens again, there will be even more serious consequences." Maya nodded. She was glad that Principal Williams had kept his promise to investigate. But more importantly, she was starting to feel confident enough to stand up for herself if anyone treated her unfairly again. The week after Principal Williams finished his investigation, something beautiful began to happen at Lincoln Middle School. The Our Stories Matter art project had sparked conversations throughout the entire school. Maya noticed the change immediately. Students who had never spoken to her before were stopping her in the hallways to ask questions about her travels. Teachers were commenting on her beautiful artwork. Even some 8th graders had asked her about the languages she could speak. "Maya, wait up," called Jessica as Maya walked to her locker after school. Jessica was the girl who had first shown interest in Maya's display. "Hi, Jessica," Maya said with a smile. Over the past week, Jessica had become a real friend. "My mom wants to know if you and your mother would like to come to dinner this weekend," Jessica said. "She's really curious about your family's stories, and she wants to meet your mom." Maya felt warm inside. "I'll ask my mother, but I think she'd love to come." As Maya walked home, she thought about how much things had changed in just a few weeks. The art project had helped students see her as an interesting person with amazing experiences, rather than just someone who was different. During lunch in the art room, Maya's circle of friends had grown. James, Sophia, Alex, and Maya were joined by several other students who had been inspired by the Our Stories Matter project. "I have an idea," Sophia said during lunch on Tuesday. "What if we started a club where students could share their cultures with each other?" "Like a cultural club?" asked James. "Exactly," Sophia replied. "We could have meetings where different students teach everyone about their heritage. Maya could teach us some words in Hindi, and I could show everyone how to make traditional Mexican food." Alex, who was usually quiet, got excited about the idea. "I could share some poetry from my grandmother's home country of Ireland." Maya loved the idea. "Do you think Mr. Rodriguez would help us start it?" "Let's ask him," Jessica suggested. When they presented the idea to Mr. Rodriguez, his face lit up with excitement. "This is exactly what our school needs," he said. "A place where students can learn from each other and celebrate their differences. I'll talk to Principal Williams about making it official." Principal Williams was thrilled when Mr. Rodriguez told him about the cultural club idea. He saw it as a perfect way to continue building the inclusive environment he wanted for Lincoln Middle School. "Let's call it the Heritage Club," Principal Williams suggested. "And let's plan to have the first meeting next Friday after school." Word about the Heritage Club spread quickly through the school. By Thursday, 25 students had signed up to join. Maya couldn't believe how many of her classmates were interested. The first Heritage Club meeting was held in the art room after school. Students sat in a circle, and Maya felt nervous but excited. She had volunteered to be the first person to share her culture. "Everyone, welcome to our first Heritage Club meeting," Mr. Rodriguez said. "Maya is going to start us off by teaching us about some of her family's traditions." Maya stood up with a small box she had brought from home. Inside were photos, spices, and a beautiful silk scarf that her grandmother had made. "My family comes from India originally," Maya began. "But I was born here in America after my parents moved here for my father's work." Maya showed the students photos of her grandmother's village and explained how her grandmother had learned to weave silk scarves by hand. She passed around small containers of spices and let everyone smell the different scents. "This is cardamom," Maya said, opening a small jar. "My mother puts it in tea and desserts. And this is turmeric, which makes food yellow and is also good for healing." The students were fascinated. They asked dozens of questions about Indian festivals, food, and traditions. Maya found herself talking easily and confidently, sharing stories she had never told anyone at school before. "In India, We have a festival called Holi where everyone throws colored powder at each other, Maya explained. It's messy but so much fun. Families come together and celebrate the coming of spring. That sounds amazing, said Tyler. Could you bring some colored powder to school sometime and show us how it works? Maybe we could have our own small Holi celebration, Maya suggested. When Maya finished her presentation, everyone clapped. She felt proud and happy in a way she hadn't felt since starting at Lincoln Middle School. Thank you, Maya, Mr. Rodriguez said. Next week, Sofia is going to share some Mexican traditions with us. As students packed up their things, many of them came up to Maya personally to thank her for sharing her stories. I learned so much today, said a boy named Kevin. I never knew about those festivals or spices. It's really cool. Will you really teach us some Hindi words sometime? Asked a girl named Amanda. Of course, Maya replied. I'd love to. When Dr. Chen picked Maya up from school that day, Maya was practically glowing with happiness. The Heritage Club was amazing, Mom, Maya said as they drove home. Everyone was so interested in learning about our culture. They asked me to teach them Hindi words and maybe show them how to make some Indian food. Dr. Chen smiled as she listened to her daughter's excitement. I'm so proud of you, Maya. You've turned a difficult situation into something positive for everyone. I think I want to invite some of my new friends over for dinner, Maya said. Jessica and Sophia, and maybe James and Alex too. Would that be okay? Of course, Dr. Chen replied. I'd love to meet your friends. That evening, as Maya worked on her homework, she thought about how much her life had changed. A month ago, she had felt alone and ashamed of who she was. Now she had real friends who valued her stories and wanted to learn from her experiences. Maya realized that her differences weren't something to hide. They were gifts she could share with others. And by sharing her culture, she was helping to make Lincoln Middle School a better place for everyone. 3 months had passed since Maya first walked through the doors of Lincoln Middle School. As she approached those same glass doors on a sunny spring morning, everything felt different. Maya wore a beautiful turquoise dress with golden embroidery that her grandmother had sent from India. Her hair was braided with colorful ribbons, and she carried a special lunch her mother had packed. But this time, Maya walked with her head held high and a confident smile on her face. The hallways that had once felt scary and unwelcoming now felt like home. Students called out greetings as Maya passed by. Hi, Maya, said Jessica, waving from her locker. Are you ready for the Heritage Club presentation today? Maya, can you help me with those Hindi words you taught us? Asked Kevin, jogging to catch up with her. Good morning, Maya, said Mrs. Rodriguez, the Spanish teacher. I heard your mother is coming to speak to our Heritage Club next week about being a lawyer in different countries. I'm so excited to hear her stories. Maya smiled and answered everyone warmly. She had learned that when you're confident in who you are, people respond to that confidence with respect and friendship. In English class, things had changed dramatically. Mrs. Patterson had completed her cultural sensitivity training and had written a sincere apology letter to Maya and her family. More importantly, her teaching style had completely transformed. Today we're reading a poem from a Pakistani-American author, Mrs. Patterson announced to the class. Maya, would you be willing to share any insights about South Asian culture that might help us understand this poem better? Maya raised her hand eagerly. I'd be happy to, she said. My grandmother is from India, which is right next to Pakistan, and many of the cultural traditions are similar. Mrs. Patterson listened respectfully as Maya shared her knowledge. The other students asked thoughtful questions, and Maya found herself teaching her classmates about the history and traditions mentioned in the poem. Thank you, Maya, Mrs. Patterson said sincerely. Your perspective helps all of us understand this literature more deeply. After class, Mrs. Patterson asked Maya to stay behind for a moment. Maya, I want you to know how much I've learned over the past few months, Mrs. Patterson said quietly. I realize now that I was wrong to ask you to change who you are. Your heritage and experiences make our classroom richer, not more difficult. Maya looked at her teacher with mature understanding. "Thank you, Mrs. Patterson. I appreciate you saying that. I hope you can forgive me for making you feel unwelcome," Mrs. Patterson continued. "You've taught me to be a better teacher." Maya nodded. "Everyone makes mistakes. What matters is that you learn from yours." At lunchtime, Maya sat in the cafeteria with a large group of friends. The Heritage Club had grown to over 50 students, and many of them gathered together during lunch to continue their cultural conversations. Maya opened her lunchbox to reveal her mother's homemade samosas and curry. Instead of whispers and cruel comments, she was greeted with enthusiasm. "Those samosas smell incredible," said Sophia. "Will you ask your mom for the recipe?" "My family is coming to the Indian restaurant downtown this weekend," said Amanda. "Maya, would you and your mom like to join us? You could help us order the best dishes." "I'd love to," Maya replied. "My mom knows the owner of that restaurant. She's from the same region as my grandmother." As Maya ate lunch with her friends, she looked around the cafeteria and noticed other positive changes throughout the school. Students from different backgrounds were sitting together more often. Teachers were incorporating diverse perspectives into their lessons. The walls were decorated with artwork and projects celebrating many different cultures. After school, Maya had become one of the student leaders of the Heritage Club. Today was special because they were hosting a school-wide cultural fair. Students had set up booths throughout the gymnasium, sharing food, music, art, and traditions from their families' backgrounds. Maya's booth featured Indian music, sample spices, and a photo timeline of her family's journey from India to America. Her mother, Dr. Chen, had taken time off work to help with the presentation. "Tell us about this beautiful scarf," said Principal Williams, stopping by Maya's booth with several other teachers. "My grandmother wove this by hand using traditional techniques passed down through generations," Maya explained confidently. "Each pattern has a special meaning. This one represents prosperity and happiness for the family." Principal Williams smiled proudly. "Maya, do you remember when you first started here? You were so quiet and seemed afraid to share anything about yourself." "I remember," Maya said, "but I learned that hiding who I am doesn't help anyone. When I started sharing my stories, I discovered that people were actually interested and wanted to learn." "You've helped transform our entire school," Principal Williams said. "The Heritage Club has brought students together in ways I never imagined possible." As the cultural fair continued, Maya watched students learning from each other with excitement and respect. James was teaching a group of kids about dyslexia and different learning styles. Sophia was showing people how to make paper flowers like her grandmother had taught her. Alex was reading Irish poetry, while a crowd listened in amazement. Dr. Chen watched her daughter with tears of pride in her eyes. "Maya, look what you've accomplished," she said. "You turned a negative experience into something that's helping hundreds of students." "I couldn't have done it without you fighting for me, Mom," Maya replied. "And without Mr. Rodriguez believing in me, and Principal Williams taking action, and my friends supporting me." As the day ended, Maya packed up her booth materials with the help of her many friends. Students and teachers stopped by to thank her for organizing such a successful event. "Maya, this has been the best day of the school year," said Tyler. "I learned so much about so many different cultures. Thank you for starting all of this." When Maya walked out of Lincoln Middle School that afternoon, she thought about her journey. She had started as a scared, lonely girl who wanted to hide her differences. Through challenges and support, she had become a confident young woman who celebrated her heritage and helped others do the same. Maya had learned that belonging doesn't mean becoming the same as everyone else. True belonging means being accepted and valued for exactly who you are. And sometimes, standing up for yourself and sharing your authentic story can change not just your own life, but the lives of everyone around you. As Maya's mother drove her home, Maya was already planning next month's Heritage Club activities. She wanted to invite a guest speaker from the local refugee center to share stories about new Americans. She also wanted to organize an international food festival and a cultural music performance. "Mom," Maya said as they pulled into their driveway, "I'm really glad we didn't move to a different school. Dr. Chen smiled. Me too, sweetheart. You found your voice here, and you used it to make the world a little bit better. Maya nodded, feeling grateful for the journey that had brought her to this moment. She had discovered that her differences weren't obstacles to overcome. They were gifts to share. And by sharing those gifts courageously, she had found not just acceptance, but the power to create positive change for everyone.